I walk across the bridge, from the lift, to the starboard dawn column on deck 5, Quark at my side and a cat cradled in my wings. We cross the threshold of Triple M, and make our way to the common room. Upon entering, I am greeted by a familiar sight. This is the second time recently I've come here and found a dorm full of exhausted Terrans, just as arrival at a new planet is imminent. I smirk playfully. Nah, Cap. It ain't like that. We ain't exhausted. Shifu knows how to get the most out of us without running us ragged. We're good tired, protests the smiling Victor from the sofa. I don't know where he gets his energy. It took Quink long for a swim right after we were done today, announces Brunhilde. Oh, look at that cutie, cries Jenny, having noticed Takak in my wings. She's so big now. She comes to offer soft pets, which Takak accepts, preening. Jenny laughs. Look at this little diva, so cute. I laugh as all the Triple M's, not good tired from training, gather round to shower Takak with attention. I think she's going to grow up to be just like her mother, opines Emiko wearily. I cock a brow tuft and respond, I'm unsure as to whether I should take that as a compliment. I second that. Just like her mother, interjects Korok tenderly. I don't preen like that, I object mirthfully. Respond everyone present, screwing up their respective faces and wobbling their respective dominant hands or wing in a coordinated tease. I sigh, chuckle, and hop atop the perch, followed by Quark. The rest of the Triple M's return to their seats around the table. Jenny nestles into her girlfriend and says, You guys better not be too tired from training to go to the beach. I'm looking forward to seeing this eclectic assortment of babes in swimwear. You aren't going to have me to answer to if you 6 miss out on our beach episode on Kahakai Nani. Brunhilde chuckles and answers, Why do I get the sense that the Super Centurion Kung Fu monk might actually be scared of the fury of a horn dog denied? Before planting a kiss on the top of her girlfriend's scalp. He should be scared, that's why, laughs Jenny. He didn't ask me the opportunity to see you guys in swimwear. He'll regret it. You do realize there's a pool aboard, right? Queries Krish. You could suggest a pool day if you're that desperate to see everyone in swimwear. Not the same. The natural light of the sun and gas giant in the sky, the wind blowing in off the sea, the salt, the sand. There's just a magic to a sunny beach that can't be reproduced on the ship. Grateful as I am that we have a pool aboard. Directing that letter at me reassuringly. The pool is just a functional installation for a semi-aquatic species, apparently including humans. I'm not insulted that it doesn't compare with a beach day, in your estimation, I respond. She nods, satisfied. Then a thought seems to occur to her. Captain, have you heard that the Bright Plumes boon has struck again? Confused, I ask, The Bright Plumes boon? Would you care to elaborate? Leon and Enaz hooked up. After Jay and Taimancha, Kuku and Sue, and all the Triple M couplings, it's beginning to look like this ship might have some sort of enchantment that makes couples much more likely than normal to form aboard it, she explains excitedly. Is that not just Terrans being Terrans? I query. I was unaware that this was an abnormal rate of couple formation among your species. Plus, didn't 3 of the Triple M relationships form off the ship? Fran and Zor met on Zanzibar, and only later discovered that they were going to be sharing a voyage. Krish and Hazakar met on Plinth, and only afterwards did Hazakar get hired to the Bright Plume. Likewise with Messiah and the Shings. It's not just Terrans though, is it? Asks Jenny. Clark and Bammy, Quidge and Job, and have you seen the way that Hamtonia and Huamita have been looking at each other? I'm telling you guys, there's something in the water. Her eyes go wide and she turns to Twila. There's nothing in the water, right? Or the air? Or the food? Twila laughs and responds, I wasn't awake for most of those couplings. Also, I may be a prankster, but I wouldn't risk setting AI rights back by decades, just to spike all you guys with aphrodisiacs, amusing as that does sound. Sort of seems a bit more like a McLeod move than the Twila one, if I'm honest. Jenny feigns indignity. I would never, unless I thought I could get away with it. Smirking at that latter, half under her breath. Here, Zon speaks up. I don't know if me and Fran should count towards this boon. Fran looks up from her position, under her much taller girlfriend's arm, with a blank expression that could be curiosity, but says nothing. Zon continues. Like Taqual said, neither of us had moved aboard and we had no idea we were going to be sharing a ship, much less a dorm when we got together.
Yes, but you'd both been aboard, hadn't you? You to deport the rescues and prisoners, Fran to inspect. Clearly the Bright Plume saw your worthiness and granted you your boon early, smokes Jenny.
Zon laughs and turns her violet eyes down into Fran's mossy green ones. You hear that, babe? We're special enough for the ship to hook us up before we even moved in. We just came aboard and the matching spirits were like, those two are too perfect for each other. Get them together now. Causing a light smile back from the shorter woman. Here, Quark interjects, addressing me. If you think about it, weren't we the first couple to form aboard? And that was after you told me in no uncertain terms that it would never happen. Jenny's face lights up as she says, OMG, you two are the OG Booners. I think it needs to be renamed to Qual's Curse. It's shifted from boon to curse now, has it? I quip. Yeah, nods Jenny, as if it should be obvious. Clearly some entity beyond space and time overheard your denouncement of love, decided to make a fool of you, and then got a taste of playing matchmaker, hence to Qual's Curse. Isn't it a little superstitious to attribute to spirits or curses what could be explained by coincidence? I query. She smiles. Terran engineers are a superstitious lot. Hey, Cap, smiles Victor. If the money ever dries up in default research, you can always try falling back on singles cruises. Those deemed worthy by the Bright Plume are guaranteed to find a match made in Arkaros. And I suppose that would make you the galaxy's most overqualified bouncer then, would it? I retort sarcastically. There was a general chuckle at that. What about me and Krish? I never set tail on the Bright Plume when we got together, poses Hazuka to Jenny. Cookie and Mage must have carried the matchmaking magic with them onto that planet and drawn their idle matches to them, shrugs Jenny, not missing a beat. Hazuka thoughtfully narrows her arsenic green, slit-pupiled eyes. I'm genuinely unsure of which would terrify me more. Your species has made yourselves masters of the sands themselves. You have the favour of some extra-dimensional entity, or entities that have, or you've just entirely fabricated that whole thing on the spot. Jenny playfully throws up her hands and smiles. Who's to say? There was a brief lulling conversation before Kaz addresses Emiko, changing the subject. Amy, I've been wondering about your whole Best in the Galaxy line. Emiko smiles. Yes? What have you been wondering? Well, it's just occurred to me that the two best spies in the galaxy are, very likely, two people that no one knows the real names of. Fliss and I are definitely good, but I'm sure there are academics in our field more accomplished than us. And, no offense, Zon, but wasn't Zon effectively just the first soldier they met on Zanzibar, who they then happened to make friends with? Answered Kaz. So, you're wondering if I, and by extension the ODR, have been entirely forthright with all of you? If, perhaps, we're just using the Best in the Galaxy line as an ego boost? Blowing smoke off your asses? Giving all of you insincere flattery? Yep, that's what I'm wondering, answers Kaz unabashed. Emiko has a pensive expression for a moment before saying, It's not just smoke, but it does rather depend on your definition of best. Obviously, anyone whose information we weren't able to find, we weren't able to consider. There may be better spies than Byron and Pereira. The UTCIS gave us an anonymized list of agents to choose from, and, after consideration, those two were the ones selected on the strength of their track record and personal rapport with each other. We also can't compel anyone into it, nor would I want a team of Shanghaied experts to be my first contactors, so I won't name names here. But there have been a few instances of us having to go with a second or third choice, because our first was not receptive to the offer. In your cases, Kaz and Felicity, you were already on the shortlist for consideration, and it was the combination of your convenient location on Zanzibar Mapaya and a pre-existing relationship with the crew of the Bright Plume that cleared you two as the clear choices for this mission's conservation experts. In terms of the military observer, she gestures to Zon, we really didn't need a 10-star general. We're fairly well covered in terms of security, so we really didn't need a combat expert either. What we needed was a soldier who didn't have a history of expressing anti-Gartin sentiment, and who was ideally competent in a variety of skills, who would get along well with the crew and who had a decent track record. Zon's only black marks were a handful of times she's been written up for minor insubordination, but looking deeper, I found that each instance was one of conscientious objection to orders. I consider that a plus. I'd prefer a soldier who won't just snap off a salute and give me a yes ma'am, right away ma'am, if given an objectionable order, to one who would. The selection criteria for Terrans is effectively known to us, accessible to us, highly competent in their field on a galactic scale, good track record in their field, seems like a good fit for the pre-existing team, no history of anti-Garden Border bigotry,
For Garden Worlders, it's the same, except that last is no history of anti-deaf world bigotry. It's not a long list, but anyone we select has to check all those boxes before we can start weighing them against each other. It's a little bit like your 5S's model. Just being more accomplished in your field is not a guarantee that you are the best for the role. I'm not even sure that there's a way to objectively determine the best conservationalist in the galaxy.
Kaz nods,
Seeming satisfied. I guess that makes sense. And that most approachable for the role in the galaxy doesn't quite have the same ring as best in the galaxy.
Twiller speaks up here.
I'm about to bring us out a warp.
My natural eyes narrowed mirthfully. I answer, perhaps a little closer than 9 hours of sublight away, if you can help it.
She smiles. I'll bring us out as close as I can without getting us in trouble with the local authorities. You guys might want to take position by the powered window if you want the view of us arriving.
With that, all present, including the 6 tired pupils, rise from their seats to do as Twiller suggested. I faced a cack forward to allow her to see the moment the stars stop moving and the planet appears.
Arriving in 3, 2, 1.
Out of nowhere there is suddenly a star, mere light minutes away and clearly visible. Much closer is an enormous purple gas giant, with a barely visible moon that is our intended destination. Upwards of 96% of the moon's surface is covered in ocean, with what land there is taking the form of small scattered islands, not visible from this far out. Takak is visibly surprised by the celestial objects having appeared from nowhere, and chitters delightedly. There are also some admiring oohs and ahs from those present, who have a developed sense of object constancy, and more than no understanding of warp speed travel.
Captain?
Hesitates Twiller. Yes, Twiller? I respond, turning to her.
We're receiving a Mayday transmission, on all bands.
A Mayday transmission? This close to an inhabited planet? Why hasn't it already been answered by local aerospace control? I answer, incredibly confused.
It's coming from aerospace control.
I'm silent a few moments, processing that, before I say, on screen, here, now. There's no time to take it on the bridge. This will be the first time in my career that I've taken a distress call from planetary authorities.